Vicky, you've chosen from the Daily Telegraph again, Peaches Geldof and her legacy.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So, in the aftermath of the tragedy of her death, her family are deciding what to do with her online presence. And she's a very interesting example of someone who's grown up and spent her entire life in the digital age. She's been very active on networks like Twitter and Instagram, and her family have actually asked for her Instagram account to be closed. So it just raises interesting questions about how we handle digital presence after death, and whether or not some of the online sites where people have posted things become almost like memorials, where you can grieve, where you can post messages of condolence and say how much you miss people, or whether in some ways that actually halts the grieving process and it almost is a bit too much for families and there isn't that sense of closure. So different families handle it in different ways. The Geldofs have decided they want the Instagram account down, but I've seen other families very helped by having, say, Facebook accounts still up, and even years after someone's passed away, on the anniversary of their death, people will still post condolences, and it's quite helpful. So
it's going to be a growing problem. My dad died last year, and every now and then he will pop up on Facebook. Why don't you invite Malcolm Rugby to, to go? And it breaks my heart. And I think it's going to be a growing phenomenon. There are a number of literally dead accounts of people who have died, and Facebook and Twitter won't close those accounts. So what do? You put in your will, this is my password, can you delete my account?
You actually need to these days. It's very much...
So. It makes me very sad my dad pops up. I find it heartbreaking.
Well, when my father died, my father was a carpet fitter, and for months, for years afterwards, my mum's phone would ring and people say, "Hello, I'd like to speak to Leonard, the carpet fitter. I wonder could he put down my hall stairs and landings, I wonder could he come, I've got a problem." And it's not that it's nice that people remember, but nobody knows. I mean, surely it's always been that way.
I suppose it's the same problem, but in a different way. Did your mum find it comforting, or was it upsetting, or...?
I think it's poignant, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to re-explain, don't you?
You have to re-explain.
And one interesting thing people are actually playing with at the moment is tweeting actually after you die. You can schedule tweets to happen kind of years in advance, so that sounds a bit creepy to me.
No, I don't think I like that.
Some people are keen on that.
Guys, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back. I want to talk about these afternoon sessions in cinemas where you get mothers and babies and concessionary tickets and whatever it is, and the type of film you can and should show. I think that's a good one to talk about. And The Highway to Heaven, we're talking about that as well. The bishop who arrives at a church, well, on his Harley. He's a bishop. What do you think of that after this? We're talking about the movies and what you can or cannot see there. We've got Vicky Beeching and Ian Lee. And Ian, you've got well, there's some afternoons at a cinema where they have concessionary fees or admittance prices, and mums can go along, or dads, with their babies.
It's a great idea. When my kids were babies, we took them to this. It's parent and baby groups. Where you go along and you see a film. And for some parents, it's their only chance they get to go to the cinema. You have the babies there and they're allowed to make a noise and it's kind of accepted. Well, there's a cinema which is the Rex in Berkhamsted in Hertfordshire. They were showing these films to these mums. One of them was rated a 15. And one local resident, complained that it was inappropriate that babies, and these are babies up to the age of 9 months old, were being exposed to 15. And as a result of this, the Rex has said, OK, we'll only show, PG films. So there's a load of mums that want to go and see, not particularly mums and dads, not particularly violent films, but
12 Years a Slave.
Or, they want to go and see grown-up films, and they're having to go and watch, Frozen or Disney, the Lego Movie and stuff like that. And it just seems ridiculous to me. It raises the question: at what age does a child become aware of what they're witnessing
and their long-distance vision, and whether they can
see it? I think if they're no older than 9 months, I wouldn't have a problem with my boys at 9 months.
Though, do we?
That is true.
What they're aware of.
What do you think?
You think this is a terrible idea?
Well, I just wouldn't take a baby to the cinema.
I think I'd be worried about the volume, actually. They're
them.
quite loud, some of those films, aren't they?
They have the sound turned down a little bit.
Oh, do they really? Okay.
Wouldn't your worst nightmare be going along on, say, like a date to the cinema and it'd all be full of mother and babies? Wouldn't that be
making a load of noise?
I do really feel for mothers. That is their only chance, because you can't really take a baby to a normal film.
Yeah, no, true.
You become that person who's...
Now, tell me about this bishop on his Harley Davidson.
This is really interesting. So it's a guy called Bishop Richard Jackson, and he's going to become the Bishop of Lewes in East Sussex next month. He's 53, and he often shows up to church riding in full leathers on his Harley Davidson. And he said that he just gets a lot of raised eyebrows as he goes around in his daily life with his dog collar and his leathers. He's confessed that when he turned 50, he had a bit of an amusing kind of midlife crisis, went on eBay and imported this Harley from Florida. But it's a really good example, I think, of the way we can stereotype religious people and the importance of actually saying religious people come from all walks of life. Just because you're riding a Harley doesn't mean you're not likely to be a priest.
I think it's refreshing.
I do too. I think everybody's interested in spirituality. It's not just kind of boring, prudish, kind of geekish people.
The bishop says, I turned 50 and I noticed my hair had thinned and my tummy was rounding out. I dread if that ever happened to me. I just dread all of those things.
Do you have a Harley?
Happening. I'm not even 50.
Not yet.
Even 27 years ago.
He's got a while to go. Yeah.
Just getting up early has done. That's what happened to you on that radio show. Getting up early.
Well, I went for a haircut and they put some grey in the front earlier. I don't know why they did that.
It looks good.
Let's go to Charlie Thomas. Charlie, what have you spotted on the back pages?